Hello and welcome to Eagle Talks, the 448. I'm your host, Kara Kalfels, and here in our show today, the students of the State University of New York at Brockport have taken on the responsibility of interviewing some of the faculty and staff of the Journalism, Broadcasting, and Public Relations Department here at the college. Recording live in the studio today, Dave Ruiz will be interviewing Carvin Eison. But first, here's a word from our sponsor.
Brockport manufacture masterpieces out of students, striving for perfection and pursuit of excellence. The experience elevated my mental to brilliance. Check the middle stakes with high in the ranks and accredited. Diverse and welcoming, heartwarming, loving and caring. Students and professors, relationships is rather pleasant. Our programs produce scholars. So when you graduate, competition is none. You're receiving the top dollar. We shine like the sun at high noon. We golden eagles, spread our wings and watch the soar to the moon. We embrace success. We never encourage people to fail. Come to Brockport, aspire, engage and excel. My name is Amin Patah, and I attend the college at Brockport.
Thank you, Kara. I'm here with the very talented Carvin Eison. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Good to see you.
So I've had the privilege of having you as a professor for 2 classes, and having the opportunity to learn from someone with so much experience in this field has been great. Tell me a little bit how you got into the industry, and maybe tell me a little bit about a younger version of Carvin.
Younger Carvin Eison is not someone who I would want any of my students to emulate, because I was not prepared for school. I was not a good student. I was a very bad student. All of my energy went into seeing how I could get around the rules, right? And it took me a while to get out of that. And the reason that I got out of that, honestly, was because I had some very good teachers. Distinguished University Professor Garth Fagan, Tony Award winner, was a teacher of mine. Professor Emeritus Jacqueline Davis was a good teacher of mine. Wendell Castle, Albert Paley, Jack Wolski, these were all Brockport professors in the art department, particularly in dance. They were my professors, and they demanded more of me. And so I became a better student simply because of that.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about what this department does for a young aspiring producer, writer. Just get into that a little bit.
Well, the department is filled with practitioners. And what I mean by that, very often college courses, and I know you have taken a number, are filled with theory and ideas about what to do. But the one significant thing about journalism, broadcasting, and public relations is that many of the people here, the professors, adjuncts, assistant professors, associate professors, are practitioners. They have done the work. They could function as directors, as writers in the industry, technicians in the industry, and that's the big difference. All of that skill comes to bear in a classroom. So you get not only the theory of why something works, but you also get the practice of why it works from someone who has accomplished that. And so we're very excited about the fact that we offer that to the department.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Students.
Yeah, I mean, being a student here and firsthand being involved with the department, I see the wide variety that you guys bring, and it is great. If I was stuck between Brockport and another college, tell me why you would pick Brockport because of this department.
I would pick Brockport over any other school because as a graduate of Brockport in 1974, and because of having taught here for almost 30 years now, I think I'm in my 30th year, I can say honestly that Brockport is a school that cares for students, and this department particularly is student-centered. We're very much interested in the outcome that our students have, which is why we're here right now. At this very moment, we're here because we wanted a better outcome than the outcome we achieved. So I think that's what I would recommend, and that's what I would say to any family and any students that are thinking to come here. You could go to many other schools, and they could have better equipment, they could have better facilities, etc., more up to date, more modern, but it's a whole different burden when you have people that really care, because that's more important than equipment. Equipment is going to change all the time. So what people that care bring is a knowledge to help students be the best they can be. To not so much we want to teach you what to learn. There's a degree of that, but what we're interested in is teaching you how to learn. And once you learn how to learn, you're free. You can go solve any problem. And that is what being an adult is about, solving problems.
Couldn't agree with that statement anymore. So switching gears a little bit to filmmaking, you are You've been you've had Emmy nominations. You've had over 19 television awards. Tell me a little bit about filmmaking.
I am very excited about my career as a filmmaker, and in fact, the college might not like this, but when people ask me what I do, the first thing I say is I'm a filmmaker who happens to be a teacher. The college would like me to say I was a teacher who happens to be a filmmaker.
Man of many talents.
But you know, a lot of people define themselves by what they do. And just like I'm talking about solving problems, that is how I solve problems, is by looking at an issue and then I become interested in that issue and it leads to a film. And some of the most successful projects that I've been working on right up to this moment have come from being interested in something to the point that I end up looking at that, studying that for 10 or 12 years. My film, Shadows of the Lynching Tree, I worked on this for over 10 years, and it's a hard film, and it changed my life. That just the doing of that, the making of that over all of that time changed my life. It's like if you paint a wall green, right? Sooner or later, if you do it right, that green paint is going to get on you, or red paint, or whatever. And that subject was so intense that it got on me, it got in me. But, you know, we did the work, and the film is out there, and it did very well. It's a very hard film. It did better in Europe than it did in the United States. In fact, the primary funding came from Mitteldeutsche Rundfunk in Germany.
Oh, wow.
They paid for it. I got some money from Sundance here, but the bulk of the resources to make the film came from Germany, and I will forever be thankful.
That's remarkable. So would you consider that your favorite piece? And if not, what would you consider one of your favorite pieces that you've done?
I don't really have a favorite piece, to be honest with you, because I'm always looking to do something more. I'm not ready to look back yet. I've got 2 films stacked up that I want to make, and I am trying to arrange my schedule so that I could do that. But I like things that we've been able to make during this semester, and I think I showed you guys a little fundraising video. That's what I'm most excited about, because it was a problem that needed to be solved, and it's solving the problem. Yesterday, someone gave me a check for $10,000 for the project that I showed you guys in class about the Frederick Douglass Airport Monument. So that film struck a nerve in whoever saw it, and they responded by supporting it. So that's my favorite right now. But you know, this summer I have to write something. I have to write a big adaptation of James Baldwin's Going to Meet the Man, and I'm trying to clear my schedule for that, because that's going to be my next project.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, having you as a teacher, you put emphasis on storytelling, and you've simplified it and said everything is just storytelling. Can you give me a little bit more detail on what you mean by that?
This is a great question, because this is what our department has decided will be our focus, storytelling. And when you think about it, everything is storytelling. We're telling a story now, right? You're asking questions, and I'm responding through small stories that build up to a whole. But it's all storytelling. It is how people learn from the ancient times, sitting around campfires. Stories are told about the hunt, right? Or about the rains to come, or the crops, or whatever. It's so endemic and such a part of human DNA to tell stories. And we in the department try to tell stories. In fact, we do in public relations, telling a story about an organization, doing research about data and statistics that help to formulate responses and whatnot. Certainly in video production, and journalism particularly is about telling stories. And in fact, journalism stories today become the history of tomorrow, right? So all the stories that are being told, the stories that we're telling in this format, we're telling a story with 3 cameras, lights, microphones, floor directors, camera operators. That's a form of story. The story that you guys are familiar with, other stories, you go out and shoot video and then you come back and edit it. It's a different kind of storytelling. So you can never go wrong once you understand that, because then you're free to concentrate on the story.
That's great. You're a really busy man, so not only are you a filmmaker, teacher, you're also a general manager at RCTV in Rochester
Yes.
Community Television. give me a little bit, tell me what you do there.
I could not. I hope that every one of my students and everybody that I come in contact with has as fulfilling a career as I am in the middle of and have had. It is my pleasure to be the general manager of Rochester Community Media and all the things we've been able to do to essentially teach people in the same way that we're teaching our students here at the college, to teach regular citizens who may be garbage, sanitation workers, who dig ditches and string line, to teach them how to become media literate. They have an idea about something, but they don't have a clue of how to actualize it. And in some ways, their story that they want to tell might be a better story for radio than it would be for television, because people forget that television is a visual medium. So you absolutely have to have pictures. It's a sinkhole for images. So I've been fortunate. We're involved in so many different things. We're involved in healthcare messaging. That's what we do with the Alzheimer's Association, with Jordan Health Center, with Trillium, with Rochester Refugee Resettlement, and it's all about telling stories. We're big involved in getting the word out about vaccines in the pandemic. So it's been my pleasure, and I love it. I love to work with people, and I love to try to get things done.
That's great. So you're 69 years old. I would have never been able to tell.
Oh, yes.
But do you have any desire of slowing down anytime soon? It seems like you're still very passionate about everything you do.
No, there's no time to slow down. I'm still healthy. I've been very fortunate. I'm healthy. I have an extraordinary family. My wife, Ghislaine, is as beautiful a human being as there could be. She's extremely supportive of me, as I am her. She is, in fact, a doctor. I am not a doctor. She received her doctorate while raising our son, who is a handful. He's about your age, and I know what the issues are for 24-year-olds. I know them inside out, and especially boys, right? Yeah. So there's no time to slow down. I'm healthy. I have things that I want to do. I've got projects stacked up on projects. Anything
you're working on right now?
I'm working on putting a monument of Frederick Douglass in the newly renamed Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Oh, wow.
And I'm leading the charge on that, and we've been successful. It is hard dealing with people. It is hard. It's a challenge because everybody's got an agenda, and everything becomes political. But we've been very fortunate. We received support from the government, from the federal government, from the state government, support from the county, the local government, and this is going to be up there in perpetuity. And the other thing that's so important about this project, it has been about a 3-year project, and students, our department students have been involved with this project. 2 semesters ago, or 2 years ago actually, students produced 5-minute portraits on Frederick Douglass, and many of them are in a time capsule that is buried on the Frederick Douglass site in Highland Park. And so in 200 years, they're going to open that. I don't know if they'll be able to read it because the technology will be different, but there those films are. Brockport students' films will be seen in 200 years. That makes me hopeful.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Be sure to check out carvineison.com and be able to check out some of his filmmaking. Sending it back to the studio. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you, David, and thank you to those tuning in with us today. This has been another interview with Eagle Talks, the 448. I'm your host, Kara Kalfels, and don't forget to tune in with us next time.